Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01. Before we begin, we have a few celebrations and going to give some awards. Had I known, I would have dressed up, but here I am, as I am. So the first one goes to Leanne Tominski. She has been with us for 15 years, and Leanne started her career with us as a casual lifeguard instructor, and in September 2009, she moved into a permanent position. Leanne has continuously demonstrated her natural leadership skills, her willingness to step up in the absence of past managers, and this speaks volumes about her reliability and her commitment to our organization, even though she goes, off for a couple months during the winter. When the opportunity for the manager position came up, there was no doubt in the minds of the people that were here that she was the perfect fit. Leanne has a very strong aquatic knowledge base and loves her job, and this doesn't go unnoticed. She goes above and beyond to ensure we have a clean, safe, and inviting facility for both staff and the community to enjoy. Leanne is well known throughout the community and has been the face of our aquatic center for 15 years. Leanne, we thank you for your 15 years. You are an essential part of this community, this town, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Leanne. Oh, you want to take this?
Thanks.
What can I say about this young lady? Like, she has been with us for 5 years already. It's been a long time. It just seems like yesterday. Kayla is full of enthusiasm, and she started her career with the town of High Level as our museum and tourism leader. Her pride for this region and her love for tourism made her the absolute perfect fit. Just over a year ago, she was promoted to Community Development Manager, and there was no doubt in our minds that she would excel in this position. Despite facing challenges such as the ongoing wildfire last year, Kayla demonstrated exceptional professionalism and leadership, ensuring that the community programming continued without interruption. She is awesome and always ready to help whenever running a loader or working in Groovy Kids. Her genuine pride in showcasing our community shines through in everything she does. Kayla, you're an absolute asset to our team, and we're so glad to have you. And thank you for your 5 years.
Thank you so much.
Your lid. The town of High Level would like to thank Corey Cuff. In 2018, Corey came to us as a summer student from NAIT in the water treatment program. He was here for a short 4 months, and in that time, he bonded with the staff of the High Level facility. Corey showed many skills and a great work ethic, computer skills, science, chemistry, math. And when his 4 years were up, the town of High Level offered him a job. And after he completed his program, we knew that he would be a great asset to the future of High Level and the water treatment plant. In 2019, Corey returned from Fort McMurray to work here in High Level. He proved us right as he is a perfect asset to the newly formed water treatment team. This 5-year service award is just the beginning for Corey, and we thank you so much for your hard work, your service to our community. Oh, did I forget to give someone? Thank you, Lydia. All right, you have your agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? None? Could I have someone move to adopt, please? Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Carried. Sergeant Dittmeyer, come and do your report. It's so nice to see you during the rainy season.
And I'm thankful for that.
Oh, sorry, I'm infringing.
Okay, how's everyone tonight? Good? Very good. Okay, I'll go over the May stats quickly here. So compared to January to May of last year, May of this year, we had 29% decrease in total persons crimes, 25% decrease in total property crime, a 24% decrease in total other criminal code offenses. We had a 21% decrease in break and enters. We had 2 more incidents of theft of motor vehicles. Last year we had a total of 3. A total of 3 this year compared to 2 last year. 68% increase in theft under 5,000. And there have been a total of 83 fewer persons offenses, 149 fewer property offenses, and 308 fewer total criminal code offenses. Our prisoner count for this year is, for May, is 255, which brings a total to 1,044 for the year. And I took a look at last year at the same time, because that's when we were all impacted with the fires, the wildfires. So for the same time period, May, we had a total of 403. So getting close to almost double. But the total was a little bit less at 996 last year. So our staffing levels are same as last month. So we have 2 vacant constable positions, and we have 1 member hurt, unable to work right now. We have 2 people identified for our vacant spots right now. Unfortunately, the 1 member broke his ankle pretty bad. So they're not sure if they're gonna keep him in the pipe for us or move on, because it's a significant injury to his ankle. So if we can't take him if he really wants to come, he's a strong member, but if he can't work, then we can't save a chair for him. The other member's from Grand Prairie, and she's going through her medical, then she has to sell a house. So we have 2 people in the pipe, it's just not sure right now when they'll get here. So, and our NCO team's full. So.
Oh, put your hand up.
Yep. Any questions about that? No?
Councillor Lambert.
There we go. Evening. So just going over the report here, I mean, I see the increase here of 68% on theft under 5,000. I mean, we had this discussion last fall regarding, you know, thefts at local businesses, and they were, you know, just being with the chamber, a lot of those issues have been brought forward to me. And I understand we're, you know, a little short-staffed, but there's been more and more business owners that have been bringing this issue up, that the, I guess, circumstances aren't being taken as seriously. Like, they've called RCMP and, you know, no one's responded for potentially up to 2 hours, if not at all. So just trying to, I guess, you know, reassure the business community that they can still call the RCMP if something like this is happening, because they said it is. I mean, as well, the stats are here, it is getting worse. Just wondering what we can do and to provide some reassurance there.
I'd encourage them, if they're experiencing like zero response, to ask to speak to me directly at the office. I'll listen. I'll go see them. And it all depends on what's going on at the moment, right?
Yep.
So sometimes it does take a while. I also know that we've been catching a lot of people, like the Canadian Tire. We've caught that gentleman a few times, but it's, I think his matters are still before the courts. So we feel the frustration as well, but please ask them to call the office, ask to talk to Devron, and I'll talk to them. And if we're not going there and doing what we can, we will.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Question about the park.
yeah.
I've had parents, you know, like sending emails, well, I don't know if they're parents, people sending me texts, emails, asking about the condition of the park, teenagers there swearing, causing kerfuffles, people intoxicated in the park. And I want to be able to reassure the people that we will be having our walkthroughs this year.
With the enhanced.
The enhanced
Yes.
policing.
Yes. So as long as we don't, last year was a bit of a challenge for the detachment. If things sort of go the way they are now, like I know we're short bodies, but I've worked in places with less manpower, and it's all about managing that. You will be seeing us in the parks and in the downtown core. We're committed to that. A lot of our members, they bring their kids to the same parks as the community, so it's important to our membership as well to be there, so it is a safe environment and a friendly environment. And it's nice seeing friendly faces sometimes there too, instead of always sort of having to rush there, take care of a problem, and on to the next thing. So it's nice having that positive interaction. So, yeah.
I'm just wondering if posting the RCMP number, I don't know, but I mean, that's what I do. I call the station, say, look, there's this going on in the park, and you guys come out. And I mean, it's also the responsibility of the parents to see things and react to it.
Yep.
I mean, if there's two intoxicated people fighting in the park, then call the RCMP.
Yep.
So, but most of them say, well, I don't have their number.
Well, maybe we have a couple of, with our local paper, a couple of things planned for the future, and maybe we'll reinforce that number, the office number and the 24-hour complaint line, and hopefully we can get that message out, so.
I also feel that it's our responsibility, because the RCMP cannot be there all the time. And I mean, if we take ownership, we as the people all take ownership of the park, then it should be get back to a place where the kids can play.
Yep, and I agree with that too. There's been lots of times where I'm not in uniform and someone's acting a little bit silly. Well, I feel it's like, you know, it's you say something, or you say something, or if that doesn't correct it, well, then you look to call.
But council would like to be a pleasant place this year for families.
Yes.
So hopefully we can work together to do that.
Yep.
Oh,
And I believe that Director Clark, she'll be back tomorrow, but we're aware of these situations as well. My understanding is that they're in the process of developing up some signage with phone numbers, including the RCMPs. And she's also asked the arena staff to do some more foot patrols through there to augment, and we'll talk about that very quickly here. That's the next agenda item. Some of the cooperation or joint activities that Tyrell, our community peace officer, is going to do in conjunction with the local detachment as well. But we are planning on getting some signage up with some phone numbers so that people can access that, and we're increasing town staff presence in the park as well.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor?
Just in terms of those.
I don't think you're on yet.
Just in terms of the foot patrols through the enhanced position, and I know maybe we're gonna touch on this a bit next, but is there an opportunity to sort of coordinate that with our CPO to make sure we're not all out there at the same time? Kudos to him. I saw him doing a foot patrol there this afternoon and cleaning up someone else's mess. So, you know, we are taking those proactive steps, but if we can sort of work together to try and maximize the coverage, I think that's gonna give us the best results.
I agree, and I didn't bring the form with me, but we actually have a form where I want to bring Officer Brink with us as much as we can. I think it's going to benefit my junior membership who never worked with a town CPO ever. So it's nice to sort of learn each other's authorities and sort of be out there together. But yeah, we don't need 6 people standing around the park at one time. So yes, we'll make sure that we, as much as we can, and give advance notice if, let's say, we are planning on doing something on a Saturday or a Sunday, making sure schedules on his end can be adjusted to work with what we're trying to do, so.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Oh,
No, so thank you, Madam Mayor. So about a week and a bit ago, Devon and I had the opportunity to sit down, and since we're on the parks, I'll start with that, and then I'll move into the conversation that we actually started off with. Tyrell was off on training last week, so he and I met today. I've asked him to reach out to the detachment and talk with Deveron specifically. Part of my philosophy has been I would sooner see our Tyrell out doing a foot patrol with some of the RCMP in the parks. That allows then with the short staff that Deveron's got, then that RCMP officer, whether he's patrolling in town or he's patrolling in the community, we have an individual that has full criminal code that's able to be out in the broader community while we're augmenting the foot patrol and some of the other enhanced public policing that Deveron will talk about here shortly. So I'm going to say, before we started getting the complaints, we were already, I'm going to say, looking at how we were going to utilize the enhanced program and combine that in with the town CPO program to maximize the programs that are there. So I'll let Deveron expand on that. What our first conversation started off with was, and I believe council's aware of this, every municipality in Alberta, with the exception of those that have their own police force, contribute towards the provincial policing contract. Our contribution of that is $172,000. And then we've just, I think a week ago, we signed the enhanced contract, and that's going to run from June 1st through to the 30th of October. And that's at Deveron's discretion on how, so what we've agreed to is we will pay up to $100,000 towards those enhanced program, or that enhanced policing. So the conversation that Deveron and I first had started with your short staff. How do we know that the town is getting its $172,000 worth of value? And he'll explain to you is the same as he did to me. And then the other question was, how do we enhance our program, or how do we best utilize the resources for the enhanced policing along with the community peace officer program. And so, as I said, we've talked about that. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Deveron and let him provide you with his perspective on those questions.
Okay, so the funding, like you just said, everyone pays into it. Last year when we got those 2 new positions over and above what we had been operating it, that was a result of the province identifying we need 2 more spots in high level. Unfortunately, right now, we're full of what we were before we had that too short. Having members interested in coming to work in high level is really important. The recruiting numbers are better than what they had been. It's just in 2018 to 2023, there was only an average of 1,480 people applying to be a Mountie. So the province and the RCMP, we've been proactively trying to recruit, going to events. There's 829 events attended or generated. So right now, this year, 2023 up to today's date, 2024, we now have a total of 2,620 applicants. It's promising. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be hard times ahead. So as my role here in high level, I have to really maximize the resources that I have. We're very lucky. There's people that want to come to high level. It speaks to the community, like I've talked before. It's all in all a pro-police community. It's okay to bring your family here, which means a lot. So I have to make sure I'm able to operate and have minimum. So we have to have certain number of officers on all the time. So we have more members than what we need. So it's not, if you need 6 people during the day and 6 at night, we don't have 12 people. We have more than that. The enhanced funding or the enhanced position, that has a different collator number. So it's a K number in how we separate billing. So any overtime done by the enhanced position goes to the detachment collator. So that means if the enhanced position has to go to Bushy River or Fort Vermilion and it's outside of the regular hours, that overtime gets billed to the provincial collator. The enhanced funding, I have an IO number. So any hours that get accredited to that funding gets put on this piece of paper. With that IO number, it's claimed that. So before a member can go on an enhanced shift, it has to run through a supervisor. The reason for that is we want to know, well, what's your plan? What's your plan? Have you talked to the other officer? Who are you going? Is your workload up to where it needs to be? Because there's no sense on taking on more work if right now you're not handling your current workload. And then the supervisor confirms the hours after. So those hours are tracked and then claimed separately to a different number. So there is no, and I know I left a lot of hours on the table last year and I won't spend, that money's not getting spent on anything than what it was intended for. So that doesn't mean if I'm short a body to work a night shift, that funding doesn't pay for that. It's operational expense. So with some of the numbers or members, we're gonna have a high turnover starting next year. And the year after that, there's like 11 people due out. So I forecasted that to my district and I said, look, we need to get ahead of this. This is a bad bottleneck and you're looking to have a bunch of recruits with not enough trainers or trainers that are maybe a little bit burnt out, and that's no way to start your career doing this. So I tried with staffing myself, but I guess my voice wasn't loud enough. So I went to my district and they're having ongoing meetings. The plan right now is we're looking to bring people in early to sort of cover that. We have the housing available because we have some couples, so we can facilitate that and hopefully break that bottleneck because that must have been ongoing for some time now. Every 2 to 3 years, where it seems there's been a greater turnover than normal. Like over 50% is okay for a 4-person detachment, not 20. Like that's too much. So that's some of the things we're working on. So that I want to know. They've asked me to stay a little bit longer, which I want to do. But then I also want you to give me the members I need so we can do our job the way I like to do it, so.
Okay. Yes.
So is there a way to talk to district or K division when they're looking at that to maybe take some of the current positions and extend them so that you get into, like, there's the 6 or 7 every year rather than, you have 11 or 12 in any given year?
Yes, and a lot of that, it has to do with the membership sort of agreeing to it, because when we all came here, it was a 3-year commitment. So I already have 2 members asking me, Devron, do you support me staying here for another year? Now, that support is key, because if someone's here, this isn't the right environment for them, I rather work short with good people that want to be here than be fully staffed and have a few people that they're struggling to adjust. But yes, 2 members already reached up. I suspect another 2. It's a little early for them to make that decision now. They still have 2 years left, but they're really enjoying it. So, but yeah, we're exploring that as well to try to break the bottlenecks. So.
Didn't it used to be a 4-year posting here?
I think it used to be. Yeah.
We took it to 3.
Is there any appetite or any point when we meet with K Division, which we do annually, to request that maybe the postings here go back to 4 years, or?
I don't see anything wrong with that. I know in some cases, a lot of places, if you were single, you worked 3 years, and it's easier to work environments that are isolated if you have someone at home. So sometimes they work, a couple will do the 4 and the single person will do 3. It's worthwhile bringing it up in the fall meetings, just like asking, we're all gonna be fighting for resources and manpower. So it doesn't hurt asking what the province, I know our district's been active. There's 1 relief team already created. They're looking at a 2nd relief team, and the sell for that is you can live in a city and then you get dispatched out to, let's say John Doe Prairie for a month, and then you come back. Or if we're hurting really bad, if let's say we have a couple of our people get hurt and I go, I can't do it, guys, you gotta get me bodies. Those teams from our district, district sees the importance of high level and how we sort of bring balance. If we're hurting, Fort Vermilion's gonna be hurting, and so Chate, so they do see it's important to them to keep us staffed, but that increasing the duration or the term, that is something worth looking at. High Prairie, I believe, is still 4 years, and they don't have forced housing, we do. So it's another draw for memberships coming here. So I do know, I think it was it was before I came up here, there was a big reshuffling on what they classify a limited duration post. So it might be something that they're looking at as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So the recommendation that I've made to council, which Devron's talked about, keeping the detachment fully manned takes 2 to 3 years. And at the fall Alberta Munis, you're going to have 260 municipalities that are vying for approximately 12 to 14 hours of the senior executive time that while they're at the conference. So my recommendation is that council let K Division know early that you intend to talk with them, and that during that meeting, you'll let them know. They will make all sorts of commitments about, yes, we'll be in touch with the detachment commander and the inspector for the division and all that. And so you say, well, we look forward to seeing you in 2025 so that we can hear on how you followed through on that. And my experience from being down south was it's the third or the fourth year that you're back where they learn that you're serious about the ask. That's when you're working in concert with the local staff sergeant, the NCO team to ensure that we've got the policing, not only that high level needs, but as Devron talked about, that's augmenting the other detachments in the area.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Are the Oilers winning right now? Did anyone take a peek?
Could I have someone move the approval of the minutes, please? Any errors? Yes.
Resolution 21324. I think it should say that council approved the mayor, not that council that the mayor.
Which one? Oh. Councillor Jessamine moved. All in favor with that correction? Carried. Could I have someone move Staff Sergeant Dittmeyer's? Councillor Lambert moves. All in favor? Carried. Request for decision for provincial policing. Well, he kind of worked it into Sergeant Dittmeyer's.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the second motion that I've recommended there is just his, Devron's explanation regarding how the policing, or the provincial policing contract obligations are being met, and his plans with regard to the enhanced policing. So that's except for information as well.
Councillor Jessamine makes that motion. All in favor? Carried.
I'll move that administration request or reach out to K Division now to try and schedule for the Alberta Munis conference.
And just for council's information, they'll acknowledge our request, and then we'll diarize to follow up with them again in September.
I'm just thinking here. They send us every year to a form to fill.
Yes, along with the other 240 delegate councils that are going to be there. So the suggestion I'm making is that you're going to be at the front of the pack.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. So I regret to inform you all that I was so busy I didn't do my report. I didn't get back till late this morning, so I will have a written report and I will email it to you all so that you can ask me questions at the next council meeting. Somebody move that, please?
I'll move.
Thank Jan. All in favor? Carried. I will have it to you as quickly as I can. Committee reports, Deputy Mayor.
On June 3rd and then again on June 4th, attended the CAO interviews. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Anderson.
May 29th, I attended a library board meeting. June 3rd and 4th, the CAO interviews, and June 5th, the Golden Range Society meeting.
And what's happening in the library?
They have hired a new manager. They're still looking for a part-time person, I believe. And other than that, things are finally starting to settle down and move along.
Do you still have the same staff you had before?
Have no idea. No, for sure not. For sure not.
The remaining, like,
Oh.
original staff that are there. Yep. We just recently had a couple of our part-time student staff who were helping with our programming, move on to other opportunities. All the best to them. So like Brent said, we are looking for some new people. So if you're interested, bring us an application.
All right, thank you. Counselor Jessamine.
On the 3rd and the 4th, I attended the interviews for our CAO position, vacant position, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor Lambert.
Sorry. On May 24th, I had a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and on June 3rd and 4th, I also attended these CAO interviews.
Counselor Wilkie.
On June 6th through 8th, I attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference in Calgary, and it was pretty fantastic. One big takeaway from that conference, I did send an email out to everyone today regarding partnerships between municipalities and nonprofit groups, which I would like to explore. Perhaps we could pass that on to Director Clark, just to explore what that would look like, having somebody like the YMCA involved in operations of our potential projects. So it would just be exploratory, I understand that, but it was pretty eye-opening what that organization is doing with municipalities and other places. So otherwise, I did get to listen to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speak, as well as Jagmeet Singh and Elizabeth May got a standing ovation. So yeah, that's all I have to report for now.
And were you impressed?
Yes. No. Interestingly, the Calgary, as everyone probably heard, had a major water main burst during the FCM, so it was a great opportunity for almost everyone to talk about the need for provincial and federal funding for aging infrastructure in municipalities. So that was
Yeah, it
that was
a good
interesting too. So
opportunity, but we didn't get to ask it because he only took 5 questions.
well, it kind of floated around the entire conference, though. It was a common point of discussion. So
Yeah, I just would have liked to have seen the Prime Minister answer it. All right. Thank you, Councillor Wilkie. Could I have someone move council reports, please? Oh, sorry.
Okay, May 29th, I attended a elected officials education program session on regional partnership and collaboration, as well the 29th library board meeting, June 3rd and 4th CAO interviews, June 5th the EOEP course again, and June 10th, today before this, the Lumix group.
What are you taking, you're taking another governance course?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is the last
online.
one that I have remaining. Yeah, this one's online.
Okay. Can I have someone move these reports, please? Councillor Lebrion. All in favor? Carried. So on the council action list. I need to put it, the letter that the chief said that we could write on this action list. Under the, was it the,
Yeah, it's, I think, the first one in the action list.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's, my intention was to update the list here and with the extended activity around the CAO recruitment. I
Yeah.
didn't get around to it, so,
Yeah, well, that's why I'd
I'm-
like to add it to
yeah,
this
so
list.
that will get added. There's a number of other items that will be updated as well.
Okay,
Just to, at the last council meeting, Councillor Jessamine requested information with regard to the installation of those illuminated speed signs, and also asked us to follow up with TELUS with regard to where we're at in town with regard to the fiber deployment. With regard to the signs, I talked with Darcy, and right now the signs are ordered. They've been somewhat busy with line locates for some reason. So that we're targeting, I asked him to target that we'd have those in place before the school season starts. So that's middle to the last week in August. Also spoke with Tyrell today about ensuring that they're doing a cooperative program with the RCMP and public education around that as well, associated with the startup of school. With regard to TELUS, got a verbal follow-up to a couple of emails that I sent. Talked with Greg Guthrow, who is the TELUS deployment manager. And what he informed me was that approximately 80% of the conduit has been installed. The last 20% though is going to be the more extended, because that's where they're doing the bores underneath roads and pipelines and that. So that's going to take a little bit of time. And they won't be, I didn't get a sense, and maybe Mark can add to this, but my understanding is that until they have all the conduit in place, they're not going to start running cable until they have kind of are able to come in and do sections of the town at a time.
You're not wrong. So they're not quite done all the conduit yet, from what to my knowledge. They've already started placing fiber in a pretty large percentage of the town.
Okay.
They're starting to do quite a bit of the splicing in the residential areas. Like I know over the weekend they were splicing in my driveway till almost midnight. So it's coming. It seems like the crews are really showing up in force now. So I'm hoping that it'll chug along and get her going before winter hits. So.
Right. There seems to be a race, shall we say, between TELUS and the gas line installations that are going on to see who can have their first footprint in, because the other one's going to have to redo some of their line locates in some locations.
why are our guys doing the locates?
We're doing locates on our infrastructure, so
Water?
water, sewer, storm sewer.
Thought we did those last year. So they spent all last summer doing them, and now,
And, you know, I can't speak to this week, but last week I caught Darcy going through, and I was bugging him about he was stealing paper. He had a stack of paper about this thick. And I said, so what are you doing? He said, these are all the line locates for this week. He goes, we basically been doing that same number for the last 3 weeks. So it's significantly taxed him, you know, to the point where they were putting grass mowing was getting put on a back burner because he needed to, first he's short some guys, and then he needed to reassign individuals to make sure that the line locates were happening, so we weren't being accused of being the ones to slow down TELUS or Apex.
Jan?
Do we need to stress to the public that one has to sign up for getting fiber? Has to sign up online to get fiber, or are people expecting that it will show up? I think when they were here doing a consultation at one point, they were recommending everybody like registers, I guess would be the word.
Signing people out yet, and then they mailed them out. I believe most of town has, like residential properties anyways, have signed up for it.
Okay.
There's been the odd straggler that we get, but we just point them through to, there's that website, and I can't think of the URL at the moment.
I don't recall personally seeing anything, so.
You would have got a thing in the mail.
Yeah.
Remember Josh was telling us how to fill them out?
No. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Jessamine.
Okay, I'm not a high-speed internet guru or an expert or anything, but could you take and give us the Coles Notes version when you talk about them splicing into your house? Are they, like, when they're at that box, are they just doing your one house, or are they doing all number of other houses? Okay,
So at the end of your driveway, for instance, at my place, that box right on my rock
Yeah.
driveway, that box is responsible for, I think it's about 5, maybe 6 houses. So when they're stopping at each one of these boxes, they're splicing in the main line, which is continuing between the SAC boxes. So they'll splice those together. Now, when it comes time for the installation, not everybody will see a fiber being put directly into their house until the time of the installation. In the areas where they have aerial facilities, like power poles behind your
Okay.
house, that'll be done on the day of the installation by the technician. In our areas where it's buried, they are pre-pulling some of them in because they're pre-manufactured fibers that you just literally plug in. So there's no splicing to be done. It's just a matter of having it in the pipe.
so there's still another fair amount of work to.
There's still a fair amount of work, yep. But like I said, with the crews showing up now, like even myself, I'm seeing it. The work's really getting rolling now, like really heavily. So
Okay.
I'm hopeful. But I have a question about the locates. Has Darcy stressed that this is becoming too much for them and maybe we need to look at a third party to help them?
He hasn't made that comment. What he did indicate was that they were being, that there was a very consistent, we kind of talked about that last week as well. There's a consistent demand, but he hasn't suggested or requested that we get additional resources to assist with that. I think what he's doing is the difference between 6 inches of grass versus 2. So I think he's managing that way in terms of what are the critical areas that they need to focus on versus the ones that they can catch up on.
Yeah.
Plus, with the rain that we've had, there hasn't been necessarily a lot of opportunity to mow grass either.
Yeah.
And Madam Mayor and Council, just to add to that, with our meeting with TELUS, Darcy did give Ledcor, the subcontractor, and TELUS procedure and plan, so then there wasn't any duplication or going back to any sites. Like if there's a flag here, it's this color, and there's paint here, this site is good, you don't need to confirm back with us, you don't. So he gave them a good procedure to go with, and I feel like the crew that they have out there right now, working with our Public Works team, and everything is running smoothly.
Deputy Mayor.
So are we charging them for doing line locates, or? So I would expect that the first line locate is probably no charge, but when they're doing multiple locates at the same location, like how many times do we have to go back to some of these sites?
And I'm going to say, we're inheriting, you might all recall the call before you dig philosophy, which was, the concern was that if you charge, individuals will take the risk and you end up with your utilities being interrupted. So I'm going to say we're still operating on that philosophy. We can always bring that back to council. I think the daily rate for a locator is $3,000 a day.
Depends on the company.
Yeah, but that's one of the numbers that I've heard. So at this point in time, we're using in-house resources. If we had to go out of house, that would probably be something we'd be coming back to council fairly quickly on.
Just like I said, I know places where they've had flags and paint up 4 different times and still haven't done any installation.
Yeah.
To like, how do you do yard maintenance and, grass is high, and
Mow their flags over.
well, that's happened a few
Yeah,
times
that's
already.
what's happening in our-
around them.
Well, they're this far apart, like.
Counselor LeBron. All right, could I have Counselor Anderson?
So at the expense of the town doing the locates, what then in the maintenance department is being put off besides grass mowing? Because they've got people, or they're short people because they're doing locates. And one thing is patching of the holes in the streets.
And I can talk with them. The only example that I was given was around the grass mowing. I've seen the crews, or more the remnants, they are getting out and pothole filling now. But I can check with Darcy and find out.
Well, I'm more concerned about, they're putting in fill that doesn't stay there, right? And we have a machine that does the actual proper fill that does a permanent fix. So now we're filling potholes 3 and 4 times, and I'm wondering why, when we have this machine that can do it once and be done with it, and is this happening because they don't have people, because they're doing locates and don't have the staff then to do the hole patches properly?
I'll talk with Darcy and I'll get back to council with that.
Councillor LeBrion.
Just a heads up for administration, the laws around Alberta One Call are changing. A lot of the bigger players in it are changing the way they do it. So maybe town needs to get ahead of the curve here and come up with a policy in regards to costs for locating. Just a thought.
Thank you.
All right, any more on the action list? Could I have someone move it, please? Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Oh,
Action list.
go ahead.
So local improvements plans for properties on 92nd Street and 114th Avenue. Has that ever been finalized, or are we still waiting on money from the government, or what's taken place there?
So, no, administration will be bringing back the applications, so we will be applying for our debenture because we already received, and then council did defeat the local improvement bylaw for the 92nd Street, so.
But we did approve.
We did approve the debenture to use our 1 mil tax revenue towards our 92nd Street, so.
Yes, I understand that, but we also received $800,000 of additional funding.
Yeah.
So our debenture should be considerably less that we're applying for?
Yes, our debenture is considerably less, so it is, I believe it was 600,000 that we are applying for, where originally our debenture by borrowing bylaw was 1.4 million. So we've almost cut it in half. Because we would have to apply for the debenture as a whole, even if we were doing a local improvement out to any of the residents. And then,
I understand that. This is a year now in the making. I'm just wondering why it's taken so long.
we just finalized our cost and got our last bit of funding money from our final claim submission from STIP. So the deadline for the debenture is July 31st for this debenture coming up. Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Councillor Jessamine has moved the council list. All in favor? Carried. Upcoming events. Upcoming events, anybody? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Monthly report. Do you have any questions, council? If there's no questions about the monthly report, could I have a motion?
I'll move.
All in favor? Carried. tax penalty write-off under new business.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Presented is a letter that administration received for council's direction. My recommendation is that currently we do not have a tax relief policy or property tax relief policy or anything stipulating what criteria would come into place to bring these issues to council. So I'm recommending the council directs administration to develop a property tax relief policy just to provide guidance to council in exercising what discretion and what terms would come to council. And then further that it's administration's recommendation not to approve the request of the arrears for the tax roll in the amount that's requested. But this is council's decision.
Deputy Mayor.
Not sure if we need a policy or not, but certainly not opposed to developing one, but I'll move alternative one. I agree to not approve the request.
If I may, I'll just give council some background. The policy, the tax relief policies that I'm familiar with typically identify if there's an administrative error. An example would be where you end up with a tax or a real estate sale, and we only change the tax notice once we receive notification from land titles. So there are sometimes, and this was more when land titles was 4 to 6 months behind. So those are some of the things where if, and the policy can be written, if we identify that there's a situation like that, the request doesn't even need to come to council. You've provided that pre-direction. With anything else, such as this particular request, it would still be coming to council.
Anybody else? Okay, Deputy Mayor has a motion to not accept, was there two there? To do a policy. So council, do you want to do a policy?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. And that approval of the tax relief write-off. The recommendation was no. Oh. Oh, I separated them. Well, okay. Shouldn't they be two separate ones?
Yes, of course.
Well, I'm just like, one is develop a tax and the other is not to.
You're correct. That would provide a lot more clarity. Thank you.
So are you going to make that motion too? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Request for housing need assessment accelerator fund.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, I am remiss. I forgot to introduce Director Bartholow, so I'll ask Logan to just provide a brief introduction and background to him. But Logan comes to us from the city of Lethbridge, and as you witnessed during the session with Lumix, he brings a considerable amount of knowledge to the position. So Logan, if you would, maybe just introduce yourself to council, please.
Good evening, Council. My name's Logan Bartholow. I'm the new Director of Planning and Development for the town. I have a background, my educational background. I have a Bachelor of Management and Bachelor of Arts from the University of Lethbridge, and then a Master of Planning from the University of Calgary. And then my role previous to this was with the City of Lethbridge in our Urban Revitalization and Land Development Department. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I started last week and already lots to do, lots of good things to do. So I'm excited to be here and yeah, definitely looking forward to working with you all.
And we're definitely excited to have you here.
Yeah.
And I'm remiss in not introducing you as well.
No
Sorry
worries at all.
about that.
Thank you. Specifically related to this item, we're looking for direction from council related to the development of a housing needs assessment, which would help us develop a better understanding of the housing situation in High Level. I've only been here a short time, but I've heard from quite a few members of the community and different members of the business community that housing is a large challenge. I'm experiencing that myself, trying to find a place here. So a housing needs assessment like this would help us develop that deeper understanding of what are the challenges, where are the gaps, what's going well in the town. I'm sure there are a lot of really good things happening. I've seen a number of development permits come through already for new residential units, which is great. But what this would do would really dive into the details of the community. And one really important thing that would come out of it is recommendations on what can we do to address the local challenges that we're experiencing, because High Level is unique compared to other municipalities across Alberta. And then the second direction that we're looking for is related to the Housing Accelerator Fund application. If members of council haven't heard already, there has been an announcement of an additional $400 million in the federal budget to fund future rounds of the Housing Accelerator Fund over the next 4 years. And I know the town of High Level has previously submitted an application to the Housing Accelerator Fund and was ultimately unsuccessful. But the federal government and CMHC, they've released a number of articles and reports on what they're looking for, and the municipalities that were successful, what they did. And so there was a lot of uncertainty when the first round was announced as to what are you looking for, and there was some back and forth and backpedaling and shifting of expectations. But since then, it has become a lot more clear now that they've went through that first round, and we have a fairly good understanding of what they're looking for. And so the direction we're looking for is for council to direct us to prepare a new application, an updated application, and then bring it back in anticipation of a future round for your approval.
So I'm sure you never read the State of the Region report that the 3 municipalities put together? It's like
I have not yet.
Okay, so
no.
there is a state of, it should be on Haley's computer, the State of the Region, and there is an analysis of the housing in High Level, Lacrete, Fort Vermilion, and Rainbow Lake. I know it's 3 years old now, so, but that might give you a titch of an idea.
Related to the Housing Accelerator Fund, one of the benefits of completing a housing needs assessment is that's one specific thing that they were scoring on
Yeah.
the application. And we don't know the exact details of what their requirements are going to be, but we imagine when it comes to the submission requirements and how they're going to score, it'll likely be very similar.
Yeah.
So completing a housing needs assessment, it will have to be specific to the municipality, and it has to be completed within the past 2 years.
So you're looking for $60,000 to do that?
There was a quote provided to the town last year when the town submitted the application for, it was $40,000 to complete a housing needs assessment, with a recommendation of an additional $10,000 for contingency. With inflation and some adjustment in scope, it'll likely push us up into the $60,000 range.
Okay.
There's also some synergy between the NRED grant that the town has received related to the gap analysis and the analysis on current state of retail and commercial. Bringing in a consultant to do that work, they're already going to have to do an analysis of the community, demographics, some engagement work. And so this housing needs assessment would be able to be completed at the same time or piggyback off of it. So both of those reports would be benefiting themselves and each other.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept alternative number 1.
Any discussion, council? All in favor? Carried. Well, you won your first one.
I would prefer that we look at that, that it's nice to see that administration is in alignment with council's values.
It's nice to see that you're in alignment with our strategic plan. All right, Calotech. Caltotech. How do you pronounce that?
Logan, are you speaking to this or is Liddy?
I can speak to this. So the recommendation that is before you is to meet with Caltotech Communications for a presentation regarding a letter of support for the development of a data center in High Level. Earlier today, I met with the CEO of Caltotech and got a little bit more information on what they're looking to do. It seems like a really interesting idea that they have. At this time, I believe it would be a little bit early to bring them to council after hearing what they have presented. What I would recommend is that you direct administration to work with them and develop a little bit better understanding of what their project is, how it's going to benefit High Level, and some of those economic indicators of something that council would want to support, just so that there's some more robust information for you to consider rather than a general presentation. So the recommendation that I would recommend is to direct us to go back and work with them a little bit more and bring them back at a later date.
Okay.
I'll make that recommendation.
Councillor Lebrion, do you have that video? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Yeah, I was kind of wondering what it was all about. Huh? I'm excited about this. As long as they put it at the airport. All right, correspondence for action. This was an invitation to the Denny Assembly, as well as a request for monetary donation. Does council want to make a motion? Do you want to do this? How much money do we have in our council initiative? Yeah. Yeah, but you only have to give like 300. I don't mean like.
Mm. Perhaps we could do some swim pass donations. And I would suggest individual passes versus a very small limited supply of annual passes.
A small limited supply.
Versus, well, we gave, what, 2 annual passes or family passes last time to an event versus a larger number of individual swim passes, which I think we all agreed afterwards would have been a better idea. But just as opposed to a financial donation, you know, something to utilize the services or, you know, other services within our town.
I guess administration, anything within the $300 donation falls within administration. So if council would like to do a donation more than 300, then we would just need that recommendation on what council's wishes are.
What do the rest of council want? Or not? Deputy Mayor?
Oh, I really like that idea. I was going to suggest that myself. I'm not sure if the swim passes, can you get like a 10 punch card or?
Yep, we do have punch passes and we do have like individual cards as well, so.
So if we did 10 or 15 10 pass punch cards for youth, you know, gave out 15 of those and everyone could go 10 times or bring their friends or whatever.
To what, 10 did you say? 10?
Well, if we do 15 10 punch card passes for youth, I'm not sure what the dollar value of
I'm
that
not
is.
sure either.
I'll grab our fees by law and check.
So on the website, it says that a 10-punch pass for a youth is approximately $30.
Okay? All right, that's your motion?
Sure.
10,
15
15, 10.
And
punch passes.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. So do you have any questions of council? No? All right. Oh, you do? Deputy Mayor.
No, just before we end this part, I would just like to thank Mr. Lee for all of his services with the town, all of his wisdom, experience, leadership that he's provided while he's been here. I think this is going to be his last public event, so really, really appreciate everything that you did.
Thank you. And as I've mentioned a number of times, I've really appreciated the opportunity to work with council and the confidence that you've placed in with me, and also with the staff. I made the comment to a number of the staff over the last 5-6 weeks. I have a hard time believing that I've only been here 5-6 weeks, because it feels like I've been here for a very long time, just how receptive the staff and the community was. So it's been a real pleasure to be here.
Well, we've really enjoyed your experience and your wisdom. But maybe it's not as lost. All right, so that will end our public portion of our meeting. We will now move into closed session with a motion from council. Councillor Lambert, all in favor? Carried.
Sounding a little older there, Joe.
No, he put his hand up first.